Hello, and welcome to Whispers of Hope. I am your host, Alice White. This show is about life and its struggles, and how people have overcome these challenges to find hope and a more fulfilling life. This week, we've invited Rick Van Allen to our program to discuss drug and alcohol addiction and his journey to recovery. Thank you for joining us. Rick, welcome.
Thank you, Alice. Thanks for inviting me.
So from what I've heard from you, you have a story to tell us about your journey. Would you mind sharing that with us today? Sure.
I want to first start by saying that I really live in the day. Today is today, and that's really all. That's really all we have. Mm-hmm. But I had something happened to me back in 2015. It was very dramatic, alcohol-induced. I was in a coma for 5 days and critical care for 7. But I wouldn't even have been here if it wasn't for a friend that actually found me and called the ambulance and got me the care that I needed. But once I lost about a month's memory, but I remember this, that she was one of the ambulance technicians. And I remember her just putting her hand on my leg and asking me to please go to the emergency room, because I didn't want to go anywhere. And so that was pretty awakening for me, and it's a miracle that I did wake up, because I heard a lot of things afterwards that. My body was ready to heal and to wake up. That it was up to me. It was actually up to me whether I was going to live or die, and while I was in a coma. So it was, I think, on the 5th day that I was there, that I had this voice come to me, this figure to my right side. And it said, you have to make the conscious choice whether you want to live or die. So, and then, because when I was looking up, it looked all black and gray, and I'm like, that doesn't look like any place I want to go. So I made the conscious choice that I wanted to live. And then I woke up, and then I spent, because I hadn't been on my feet in 6-7 days, and I had to really learn how to walk again. It took me weeks, so I could walk normal again, and to talk, everything. I had to have someone actually take care of me for a good 2 weeks. So I, that's when I drink. I'm an alcoholic. And that's the way I drink. And I've been on this journey for 44 years. And I've been consciously trying to battle it for the better part of 25 years. And one thing that is for sure, that every time that I have gone back out there and I've relapsed, it gets shorter and shorter, the time that I get sicker quicker, and I don't know how else to explain it, but anyone that knows alcoholics or alcoholism knows that it gets faster. It's almost like time collapses. So that was really something, to wake up to that and take me so long to recover. So I hope I'm not skipping anything, but it's really been a journey, and it's been a life-altering journey. I've seen so many of my friends die from alcoholism, and I've actually witnessed quite a few, that actually I had to deal with. And that's the sad part of it, that it doesn't have to happen. Right. But, once that switch is flipped, in your head, you know, and it's all bets are off. And if you make it, you make it. If you don't, you don't. Another huge part of that is the suicide rate among addicts and alcoholics. If you do make it out of it, and just because you're sober, it doesn't mean that you don't have the attitudes and the mental things that you have to deal with that in actuality I'm not going to say caused, but allowed you to drink in the first place.
Right.
So getting sober is just the first stop. And it's a journey. It's a journey. And it's one of the things I wanted to mention too is, and we can see that in our society today, is the mental health.
Yes.
There are so many people that need mental health,
Yes.
and that just aren't receiving it. It just seems to be on the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to things. It's, like I said, I've got a lot of friends that have passed on, and I just had a friend of mine, a dear friend, on Wednesday commit suicide, and I found out last night about it. So it's a rough journey, but you know, on the other hand of that is I can make it as rough as I want, or more complicated. It's as easy as you make it, or complicated as I make it, and you know, that's all part of the journey, and everything that I've learned over the years. Still, I'm only one snap of the finger away from you know, going back out and drinking, and
This is true.
and I know where where I'm going to end up.
Right.
The bottom line of that,
Right.
because I've been in the emergency room I don't know how many times, ambulance rides, just it's pretty. I went to treatment my first time back in, I think it was end of '93, '94. I'm not for sure. But I went into a 28-day program then because I was really getting out of control, and I was pretty young then, so you bounce back pretty quick. But so that was here in Lacey, and I had been in and out of there so many times and detoxed so many times. I think I've been in treatment like 7 times. And detox, I can't tell you how many times. And it's, they knew me by name. You know, that's Rick, what are you doing in here again? Come on, you know. And they would, I mean, you can't reason with a person, or at least an alcoholic, that, you know, it's just kind of the one set mind that that I have. And it's quite the journey, I can tell you that. Is there anything you wanted to ask me?
I was just going to say, you had mentioned about having that conscious decision, that choice, that at that particular time, you pretty much knew that decision had to be made for how your life was going to keep going on your journey, whether good or bad. So how did you start from that point of, you got out of this situation of being in a coma for so long, learning how to walk and how to probably talk and everything involved in that, and where did my life go for these 30 days? What was your first step when you really was out of this situation to even go back into public and your daily living? How was that for you?
Well, I know because of the years I got involved in service work and helping others, and that is the key thing for me, because it's when I stopped doing the things that I need to be doing to taking care of my body and my mind. That's when I can relapse very quick, and that is the key. You know, and it's a process. It's really hard to explain. But any alcoholic or addict knows exactly what I'm talking about and trying to share. It's not always easy to kind of get the process out to someone.
Exactly.
Sure.
Sure.
Yes. So I've had quite a few experiences. That was the worst one. But I've asked over the last few years, why why am I still alive? Because it wasn't my thinking that kept me alive for all these years.
Right.
I've had many, many close calls
Right.
over the span of my journey. And I contemplated that, and I'd be like, why? So what I have to do, I choose to do, is I keep a conscious contact with my higher power,
Right.
which I choose to call God.
Right.
And I'm very, very spiritual person, and I do that on a daily basis every morning. I make conscious contact with my God. And I had to just let myself, just like anything else, I have to say, let go, let God, trust the process.
Right.
Just like you and I meeting,
Right.
and this all coming about.
Yes.
It wasn't, I'll tell you, it hasn't been my great thinking that has kept me alive all these years.
Yes.
And if it had been up to me, I would have been gone a long time ago.
So what you're saying is God has a purpose and a plan for you.
Yes.
And you may not understand it along your journey. But
Exactly.
He's always there looking out after you.
That's right. And oh man, I had something there and I forgot what I was going to say. It's been a journey, and I really forgot my train of thought.
Well, I was going to ask you another question. So say with alcoholism, it doesn't start overnight.
No.
How did it really start with you? Were you real young or a teenager or?
Yeah, I think I was 8 or 9 years old.
Oh my.
Maybe a little bit older.
Yeah.
But my brothers were back and forth from Vietnam, and there was
Okay.
going away parties, coming home parties, and I remember me and my cousin, there'd be a keg there, so we would find cups, and we'd go up and take beer out of the keg and run back outside or
Sure.
whatever we were doing.
Sure.
And I didn't remember that till just actually recently, that, wow, it was way back then. And I didn't. I just see, I think I've forgotten a lot of things in my life, like events, happenings, and I don't know if that just attests to what I've done to myself,
Right.
And in my brain as far as memory. But I have to say this, I have a pretty clean bill of health. And that's a miracle in itself.
Considering what you've been through.
Yes, that is really, really a miracle, what I put my body through.
Right.
So,
But at the time, you don't realize that, because when a person's in that drinking situation, that's a fun time. It's not something you think would ever come back on you
yes.
in any way, shape, or form.
Well, over the years, as the disease progresses, and I'm going to say the last 5 years,
Okay.
whatever I drank, it was not a good time. It wasn't. And I think unconsciously or subconsciously, it's almost a form of suicide. But you don't really want to pass on, but it's just when I get in that mode when I have so much alcohol, and it's just Hail Mary and see how it ends up. Now, if I was to do that, I don't even remember anymore. See, I have to be medically detoxed these days, every time, because I cannot on my own, because I get the DTs very, very bad. And I'm actually in a blackout because I really don't even remember.
Frightening.
I was in this detox center, and it was here in Washington, and the first day, maybe the second day, I was sitting at a table, and all of a sudden I passed out, And for a couple of seconds, and then I lifted my head up and said to the people, "What happened?" And they said, "You passed out." And my food was on the floor, and so they took me to the emergency room for that. And they did all the tests and things like that. And I just begged them. I said, "I want to go back to detox. That's where I need to be." And so I don't remember if it was later that night or the next day that all I remember, I was coming from somewhere, and I remember seeing the corner of one hall, then the other hall, and I was just coming around that corner, and the only thing I remember is my legs going out. So they rushed me to the emergency room again.
Oh my goodness.
Where they thought I had a stroke. But what it was I had a seizure. I've never had a seizure before that I remember. And that is that's very frightening to know that, the disease progressed that far to where, because that is the bottom line. That's where any alcoholic, if he doesn't quit or, take care of himself, the more you drink, that's exactly what's going to happen. And I call myself a professional alcoholic because there isn't anything that I haven't done. There just isn't, And I remember as a young teen, I started out with drugs, and that was a journey. I ran the streets and hung out with wrong people, but they were all my buddies.
Sure.
When you're on the streets, you have that that bond.
Yes.
That's hard to find, and I was missing. And so, but I got myself out of that and started working and being a upstanding citizen.
Sure.
So, but then I went to alcohol because it was legal.
Right.
So I just said, "Oh, this is okay."
Yeah.
So I've had a lot of stories, a lot of journeys, and.
So can I ask you, Rick,
Sure.
you mentioned your medical detox. What exactly does that involve? Is that pretty intensive hospitalization, or what do they do?
Yes, because alcoholism or alcohol poisoning.
Okay.
That's where I get.
Okay.
You can die, heroin, any other drug. You can get really very sick, and I know it's not pleasant, but alcoholism, you can die.
Right.
Because the body is just so tore up that I do. And what they do is they kind of keep you sedated for a few days, where you keep the calmness down, and that's what it really is.
Okay.
And then they just get you into eating every day good again, and getting into some kind of pattern again without the alcohol.
No outside pressure.
No.
That's good. That's good.
And there are some good caregivers out there, I'll tell you, in the facilities that take care of alcoholics and addicts.
And then they let you go home. They release you once they feel like you're able to maintain everything on your own, out in your own environment.
At least where you're able to walk and have some clarity again. And then it's up to me what I do after the fact.
So are there good help groups out there for people that might be seeking help from this type of situation? Or?
Yes, there's always 800 numbers like the suicide hotline.
Okay.
That's very, very important.
Okay.
Because I've lost more friends to the alcohol than I have suicide, but I've lost quite a few to suicide. And there's all you have to do is get on Google anything you want.
Sure.
And you can find any kind of help that you need.
That's true.
No matter what it is. And that's the best access to finding help. So you really got to want it, and I don't think there's an alcoholic or an addict out there that wants to die in a cesspool
And I agree.
like that.
I do agree.
And deep down inside, you know, they want to change their life. They want to have a good, great life. They want to be in their family.
Yes.
When I go, I eliminate everything. I just go into this aloneness, this bubble, and it's hard to get me out of there. So until it's too late, I know how to stay sober. I don't know how to get sober without help.
Okay.
So
Well, that makes sense.
Yes,
That does make sense.
And there's so much help out there that, you know, there really is. I would just, like I said, I think most of it is the mental help that people need, you know, and that's, but everyone has their own journey, and
This is true.
what it is what it
This
is.
True. And making the decision that something needs to happen, there needs to be a change because this isn't
Exactly.
working for me.
Yeah, and this old adage is, you only have to change one thing, and that's everything. And that's stuck with me for years. And there's a lot of things that I say to myself, you know, that kind of keep me steady a day at a time. And
Sure.
and one is yesterday's gone, tomorrow's not
Yes.
promised.
Yes.
And that is the truth.
Yes. And this
That
is true. Looking forward constantly.
Yeah, and yesterday's gone, tomorrow's not promised.
That's
You know,
right.
stay in the day.
That's
Stay
right.
in the day.
That's right.
And I've learned a lot of compassion for other people over
Yes.
the years, because it's, you know, and when I was in my 30s and 40s, it's like, you didn't know. I didn't know that people had issues or anything like that. I mean, I had to learn that over time, and learn compassion, and because you never know what a person is going through.
You don't.
I just don't, and
That's true.
that gets a little tricky.
So there is hope for people, and there is help for people that are having situations that maybe they feel like their life's out of control. And it's okay to feel like that, I believe.
Yes.
It's okay to feel like that, and it's okay also to come to terms that I do need help outside of myself.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, and just this program, Whispers of Hope, I mean, that's how it worked in my life. And going back to what I said, what purpose does my God have for me?
Right, right.
So and then it dawns on me like, wow, look at this.
Yes.
Look how this was presented.
Yes,
I've
yes.
known you for 5 years, met
Yes.
or had you come to a meeting.
Right, right.
Oops. But that's how people work in each other's
That's
lives.
right. And I believe that too. That's
And
right.
So that really, that put a big smile on my face.
Yes.
Just knowing
Yes.
that that's how it works.
Yes.
But see, I'm the kind of person, I have to get hit in the head with a 4x4. It takes time and time again
Right, right.
until I get it.
Right. And it's good to surround yourself, I think, with positive people that are going to support you and be for you and not try to get you back into the lifestyle maybe that you're really trying to get out of.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Very energy sensitive.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so if you were to say to anyone, you can't really sum up your journey, and I think that's impossible to do that in 1 minute, but what would you say to anyone out there that may be going through these difficult times? You know, what would you say to them to encourage them today along their journey that maybe there is help out there, there is hope out there?
Well, the one thing is when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired,
I like that. That's good.
you're going to want it. And that's the main thing. Once you make that commitment that I need help, I cannot do this alone,
Yes.
then there's a lot of things out there that can help you. You know, there's all kinds of groups, and there's, I don't try not to say.
That's okay.
So, yeah, you got to want it. And when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, you pick up that
That's
phone.
right.
It's not that heavy.
No.
I know. I picked up heavy phones before, you know.
That's
So
right. That's right.
that's the journey, and I just, God bless anyone that is going through this, because
Yes.
I know what hell is like.
Yes.
I've been there quite a few times.
Yes.
And I just today I choose to have a different life.
Yes.
So
Well, Rick, I cannot thank you enough for joining us today on Whispers of Hope, and I absolutely am thrilled with your story, and it's good to hear of someone who has been through that and came out on the other side really victorious, and that you can share that that glow of hope and that well-being, and that there is health and healing, and this didn't come in and take you down and under, you came up and over, and so I want to thank you for joining us today, and I would absolutely love to have you back on our program another time.
I would love to, Al.
Okay, with that, I would say if you would like more information on Whispers of Hope, or if you would like to share your story on our program, please see the contact information at the end of this video. You can also follow us on Facebook or subscribe to our YouTube channel. And I thank you again for joining us. Goodbye.